today's video, I'm going to be discussing the energies of the super full moon in Capricorn 2023. We're going to be discussing the energies and themes that are coming up, as well as the aspects and some ideas that you can utilize to practice magic with this super full moon in Capricorn. If you would like to discover more about this lunation, you can find the full forecast and a custom tarot spread PDF on my Patreon, and the full forecast includes all of those themes and energies and aspects, as well as a very detailed section on shadow work and some rituals and practices that you can engage with at this time, and spell ideas, as well as crystals and herbs that you can work with to support yourself with any more challenging aspects and to make the most of those benefic aspects as well. So let's just get right on into it. So this upcoming super full moon in Capricorn is occurring on the 3rd of July at 11:38 a.m. GMT, which is 12:38 p.m. British summertime, and at 4:38 a.m. PST. And it's occurring at 11 degrees and 18 minutes of Capricorn. With all full moons, the sun is directly opposing the moon, so the sun is at 11 degrees and 18 minutes of Cancer. So full moons are always a combination of energies and are often a time of great intensity. They're a time of release, catharsis, sometimes crisis, and reaping the fruits of one's labour. So they shed light on the truth. So the full illuminated moon reveals the reality of what has been in shadow or what may have been a secret or hidden until now. And super full moons are even more highly concentrated and even more potent due to their closer proximity to the earth, and that creates a greater gravitational pull on our tides and our bodies and our emotions, and it's just in general a more seismic kind of event. So with the moon in the practical, grounded, diligent, determined and detached earth sign of Capricorn, and the sun in the sensitive, emotional, intuitive, empathic and nurturing water sign of Cancer, we're called to consider how our inner selves manifest into our mundane real world, how we show up in the world, and if that reflects and serves the needs, truth and authenticity of our inner selves. So we're called to question if we're showing up with integrity, authenticity, and what's behind our motivations for our actions and choices. We're also asked how we balance empathy and detachment, how we self-parent ourselves, with Saturn and the moon co-ruling this lunation, and Saturn being the dispositor of this lunation, being the ruler of Capricorn. So these two planetary bodies are highly parental. So it's calling us to really take responsibility and ownership over what we do, how we express ourselves. And it's also asking us to be really mindful about how we move in the world and the choices we make, and to be discerning about those choices. What is it that makes us feel safe and secure, both within and without? So when we are at home in our safe space, when we're diving deep into our emotions and our fears and our anxieties, our shadows, and we're doing that inner work, versus how we project that outer persona in the world, whether that's in work or in our social lives. So this includes emotionally and physically, and if how we show up in the world actually aligns with our true inner selves and our desires, and if essentially we're standing in integrity and authenticity. So this lunation enjoys a number of benefic aspects, including sextiles and trines from the Capricorn ruler and dispositor of this full moon, Saturn, which is in retrograde in Pisces, as well as Jupiter in Taurus. And some of the benefic aspects form a really beautiful and significant trapeze shape within the chart, and that speaks of the necessity to discern and to make choices based on the needs of our inner and outer worlds in a really balanced way, to be really mindful, and these choices that serve our security in all of these ways, and choices which also align with who we are authentically. So that shape is really significant for that reason. And it's a really beautiful full moon because we have many benefic aspects going on, and there's really only one potential slightly questionable aspect, and that is Uranus in Taurus square to Mars and Venus in Leo, which is also conjunct Black Moon Lilith, which potentially could lead to something, explosive, surprising, shocking, something out of the blue. But other than that, really, like, the chart is really beautiful, and it speaks of this support that we are being given by these great planets. So Saturn and Jupiter not only support us to problem solve and to learn from our mistakes and to make concrete plans for moving forward, with fortuitous opportunities in the mix and expansive possibilities, but the two outer planets also encourage us to celebrate our wins so far, and they create space not only for reflection and revision of our strategies and goals, so we can move forward knowing more and improving our output, but also there's space there to witness how far we've come and to feel a sense of pride and accomplishment from what we've already overcome and achieved. So Capricorn is the receptive, feminine, that's by duality, not to do with sex, cardinal earth sign. Often it's considered to be quite a projective energy rather than this receptive energy, because it is so much about hard work and striving for something. But it is, of course, an earth sign, and therefore it is a receptive sign. Grounded, sensible, determined, strong-willed, diligent, responsible, deliberate, and disciplined. Capricorn is concerned with steady progress, order, mastery, practicalities, usefulness, setting realistic goals, steady progression, and understanding consequences. Saturn is represented by the sea goat and is ruled by the Time Lord and Great Malefic Saturn. Saturn is obviously considered to be a malefic planet, and often people are quite fearful of the boundaries and the restrictions and the things that kind of the barriers that Saturn may put in place of things, and consider that to be, uncomfortable. And yes, some of these lessons are uncomfortable, but ultimately I see Saturn as a very supportive planet, because ultimately it is for our best and highest good, and it calls for us to learn the lessons that we are here to learn and to really stand in our integrity, authenticity, be responsible, and to be mindful of others, and to really just stand in our truth and to live authentically. And isn't that what this spiritual path is all about? So I really feel that Saturn is often maligned, but there's so much power, so much magic within, getting to know Saturn and working with Saturn to mediate and remedy any aspects that might be going on at the time. The moon is in its detriment in Capricorn, and therefore might appear as rather emotionally unavailable, detached, or potentially uptight and overly concerned with to-dos and getting things done and striving. However, the subjective kind of distance that Capricorn brings is quite helpful, because there is also this healthy dose of like real optimism and celebration coming from Jupiter, this expansion and this urge to kind of celebrate our wins. So these energies are like nicely balanced, and they're grounded in earthly soil and practical endeavors. And there's also a lot of watery and earthy energy in this lunation, and therefore grounding techniques and meditation in nature will be so supportive and cathartic and heart-opening and healing for so many people. And there are more rituals and practices suggested in the full forecast on Patreon. So we're supported by numerous aspects to look honestly at how we prioritize our activities, how we discern where we feel the most comfortable and safe, and how we make our choices accordingly. And we're asked by Saturn retrograde in Pisces to review these choices and the stories, beliefs, attitudes, and reasons behind why we may hold back or push too much in any given direction or circumstance or connection. And we're also encouraged to feel really positive and uplifted about our progress and our development so far. The sun is in Cancer. Cancer is the cardinal water sign, feminine by duality. So again, receptive, not to do with the sex or the gender. Cancer is sensitive, empathic, emotional, intuitive, compassionate, tender, caring, nurturing, generous, loving, warm, comforting, safe, maternal, but it can also present as moody, passive, defensive, or overly sensitive. Cancer is represented by the crab and is ruled by the moon, which represents our daily lives, routines, habits as it moves so quickly through the zodiac. And of course, with the moon in its detriment in Capricorn, there could be some irritation a little bit slightly, but I really feel that generally it's such a positive lunation. The Capricorn and Cancer axis then sheds light on this duality between how we show up in the world, both in social and professional environments, and how we express our motivations, versus who we are alone or with loved ones in our safe space, in privacy, in our home and within our comfort zone. And this is very much about becoming your own parent, as I said, and recognizing how to balance your own needs with those of others, as well as checking in with yourself about how far you've come and what you've achieved. So I think that this is an opportune time to practice some inner child work or some shadow work around emotional security and practical security, as well as the ways in which our decisions shape our actions and successes in the world. And discovering the why behind some of these choices and commitments can support us to becoming more aligned and purpose-led individuals, and to experience a happier and more fulfilling life. So the lunation is really about ownership, taking responsibility for the decisions that we make, and honestly looking at how we can redirect our focus in a concrete way or improve upon something that is working really well, so that we can move closer towards our aligned goals and desires. So you can think back to any intentions that you set for the Capricorn new moon in 2022, as well as the most recent Gemini new moon, and you might see themes coming up for you once again as the moon comes to its fullness in Capricorn. And those with planets or points around the mid-degrees of the cardinal signs, Cancer, Capricorn, Aries and Libra, may feel this lunation more powerfully than others. And depending on which house of your natal chart Capricorn occupies for you, this is where you may see the themes highlighted. So this will affect the whole sign house in which Capricorn occupies for you in your natal chart, between 6 and 17 degrees, 5 degrees either side of the 11-degree point. So you might also wish to look at which houses Taurus, Pisces, Capricorn and Cancer and Leo occupy in the chart, as that's where the majority of the energy is occurring. So if you have any significant planets or points in your chart on or near or making aspects to any of the planets in these signs at this time, it may also have a profound impact on you. So I urge you to take a look at your natal chart. I urge you to look at the chart of the moment, and you can do so using free online software at astroseek.com or astro.com. You can get a copy of your birth chart there and find out what rising sign you are, and I would advise that you use whole sign astrology for that. And if you would like to discover more about all of the aspects that are at play within this lunation and learn about the folklore, as well as more of the energies and themes going on, and do some really, really deep, involved shadow work around this, I've included some shadow work prompts, quite a few of them within the forecast, plus some suggestions for spells, rituals, and practices that you can work with at this time to support you with your journey, as well as herbs and crystals as well that you can work with that will be really supportive for you. So do check that out on Patreon if you're interested. I am wishing you a really beautiful full moon, because I think it's going to be really, really lovely for a lot of people. And there's a lot of beautiful energy going on within the chart, so do take a look at it if you would like to discover more about what's going on. I'm wishing you a beautiful full moon in Capricorn. Take care, stay safe, and many blessings. Bye.